I am so excited to introduce our next expert, Barb Marshall. Barb is an international speaker, author, and TV host. Her TV audience span is several million. Barb TV has been seen in over 130 countries and airs regularly in areas in Pakistan and in the US. Barb says, even though I overcame a 17-year eating disorder and a failed marriage, life was still a struggle. I lived with fear, anger, and a lot of guilt. I was a pro at verbally beating myself up on a daily basis. Then, as Barb was introduced to an act of faith in God, her unforgiveness, pride, anger, the poor me attitude, and the you owe me mode was replaced by forgiveness, love, joy, and peace. Barb now offers a program called Dare to Believe Big. Welcome to Your Story Matters.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be part of you today. I really love what you're doing and how you're helping many, many people getting their story out.
Oh, thank you. Well, you have clearly gone through a significant struggle. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, it's just been an interesting, really your story is like a journey, So I think what was the most amazing part is as I went through all my ups and downs and struggles and issues, that the hardest parts that seemed the most terrible have actually helped me the most to move forward in life, to become who I am today. And I tell you, the hardest moments was when the rejection and the abandonment, when you finally think you get on top of it and you finally have overcome like eating disorders and marriages and you've remarried the same man and everything is excited and happy. And then you expect everybody to be aboard. And that's just not the case. It's a little bit different than that. So how do you get into your comfort zone and get out of that box of feeling sorry for yourself?
Well, that is a very good question. And I'm going to ask you if you will address that for us.
Yeah, so what that did really for me is I started getting plugged in. Even if I still was in my addiction at the time, what I learned was that I needed to get involved instead of saying, well, I'm not good enough for anything. That is a full big lie. Because once you step out and start volunteering or helping things, and you start getting excited about what you're doing, and it actually helps you to overcome some of those obstacles of the past that you're dealing with. And then once you start overcoming them, it gets exciting, but then people don't like seeing you happy and excited and other things. So how do you deal with that of feeling so rejected and so abandoned? And what it was for me was to move forward and to start believing in myself. And I did kind of a crazy thing at the time. And that was then I kept beating myself up over and over and over again, which just really was self-destruction. So during that time, what I did was like, I decided for 1 week to not allow myself, I did a fast basically, and I did not allow myself to beat myself up for an entire week. Oh my goodness, Linda, it was the hardest ever. It was so hard, but it broke the cycle and it broke the negativity and it broke the self-destruction and it broke the poor me syndrome everybody else owes me. And once I got free from that, I was able to say, God has a plan for me. I want to step into it and I want to own up to it. And I want to be all I can be. And I'm no longer going to be destroyed by everybody else that thinks I'm too happy.
Wow, that is a huge, huge breakthrough. And isn't it interesting how so often we give the power to other people to decide who we are?
Yes, and I think unforgiveness really takes a role in it because we all are like, you owe me, you've done this to me, instead of saying, I'm moving on, I'm letting go, and I'm no longer gonna feel accountable to you and how you feel. I'm gonna become the person I really am. I remember especially during my eating disorder of 17 years, how that was a big struggle and everybody else got the fault. And even if bad things happened, I blamed other people instead of taking responsibility myself.
Mm.
So whenever something out of control happened in my life, that is when I was like, oh, I need to just make my secret recipe and make myself sick and just take control to break the anxiety. But over a period of time, I learned that was not the answer. The answer was for me to say, hey, I have more to offer than this. I can do more. And I know God helped me through that and broke that finally away from me. And, today I sit in front of you and I have been free for over, 20 years by now? 25 years, completely free from that nasty past. And I know if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Wow, what a powerful testimony. Thank you for sharing so personally with us. That is absolutely huge. And I want to reinforce a statement that you said that, it's so easy to blame everybody else rather than take responsibility for ourselves. And you're absolutely right. Unforgiveness plays a big part in that. Part of it is, and sometimes the hardest thing I think, is forgiving ourselves. But then we also have to take that responsibility to say, wait a minute, I have to choose to move forward. It's not whether other people accept me. It's not, they've got their own issues. And for whatever reason, this is causing, creating a trigger for them. But I'm not here and I'm not responsible for their issues. I am, however, responsible for mine.
Exactly. That exactly is it. We have to own up to it and let go of what other people are saying. You're right.
Yes. So you made this huge breakthrough and we're so proud of you. So then what? Where did you go from there?
Well, it was kind of crazy because I started volunteering in Juvenile Hall, even in the midst of all that. And then I got over that. And there was no curriculum. There was nothing to work with. And I had it a little bit more in the spiritual aspect of teaching them about God. And I got all these questions from these juvenile kids. Where does the Bible come from? What's the difference between Catholics and those that call themselves Christians? And what's wrong with Jehovah's Witnesses? And all these different things. And every time, to be honest, I did not have the answers. So I would tell them, I'll be back next week. And then I would study and learn. And it's crazy, but my education in public speaking started in Juvenile Hall, and it totally changed my life. It is just, and the more passionate I got about those kids and the more they learned, I started caring for them. And, they have big pasts too, and they got stuck. And the question comes to mind is, why do the same people come back over and over and over again? But what was so cool about it, what I learned, was that they actually taught me how to become an international speaker without even knowing it. And that was the beginning of the breakthrough. But then at that point, I started believing in that God had a bigger calling on my life and started to knock on church doors in different places and felt very rejected and abandoned. And that was that biggest point of breakthrough to finally say, no, God did create me for a reason and there is a plan for my life and I'm going to go after it and I'm going to go get it. And that's pretty much how really that breakthrough started to happening. Juvenile Hall.
Well, that is certainly a story in itself to share how you got started as an international speaker. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So you knocked on the doors, and then what? Did some door finally open for you?
Yeah, well, sometimes it takes a little bit more. And that's why I'm so excited what you are doing, because you're helping people's story to become alive and to start to see they have actually a story. Because I didn't have all that. But once I started getting involved with people like you and getting mentored and people that were encouraging and helping me, that was during that time that I really started to say, okay, I need more, and starting to get a vision and a mission. I had a dream that God showed me what that looked like, and then I learned pursue it and go after it. And what really helped me was to do a mind boarding, a mind mapping, and I got a big poster out. And I wrote in the middle, this is what I feel I need to do. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I love. This is what I cannot stop talking about. And once I wrote all that out, I went all angles, and actually I went to 3 poster boards with that mind mapping, and then wrote it all out and started to see a vision and a mission for my life and asked for God's direction, and it all just started falling in place. And that's how Dare to Believe Big, how that came out of it.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
You know, that is actually a great way to bring clarity, to your purpose.
Yes.
I just heard, in fact, it was one of our other speakers said that know your why and you will know your way. And so once we understand why we're doing what we're doing, we also will have clarity. But I love that idea of mind mapping. That's a great tool to be able to bring clarity. So how do you use your story in your speaking now?
I use it every day, all the time. As you can tell, I already shared a couple of quick stories, but I think being real, authentic, and being willing to almost really expose might be the wrong word, but to expose who you really are and how you care. For example, somebody called in for the television show for a prayer the other day, and they wanted to pray that moment, and I had not spent time with God for like 4 days. So that's the moment I said, I first need to repent to God for the mistakes that I have made right now before I actually can pray for you, so we can be real and authentic together. And she so appreciated it because it was real. It was real. And that way we could really speak to each other from the heart and get right down to the bottom of the issues. So I think it's really important that every story, every day that we all live it, if we're real with one another, we can really actually help one another.
I love it. You know what? There's nothing people need to see and hear more than that authenticity. So I appreciate you sharing that. I love it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your program, Dream Big.
Oh, well, you're talking about the Dream Big TV show right now, or you're talking about the Dare to Believe? Oh, Dare to Believe Big. Yeah.
Dare to Believe Big.
And the Dare to Believe Big, I am extremely excited about that because I was I became a bored Christian. Even as a TV show host, I just was bored with it all. And then I just got on fire. And so DARE is for DARE, and the D stands for defining yourself, really knowing in your identity who you are. And Linda, you know all about that with stories and how that goes. You're already doing all that. That's why I highly recommend you. But when you identify yourself and you really start to step into the authority in who you are, what you can do, and where you're going, that's when you become alive and life becomes fun. Then the second one is to activate that. Activate your faith is in what I am doing. And so start stepping into that power that you already have available to you and start understanding that your words have power, and stop self-defeating yourself. Start speaking about what you want to be instead of thinking of what you are not. And so there is a big difference in that. And then the refine, the R, refine, finally when you have arrived, finally when you have stopped all the poor me syndrome, finally when you move on, it seems like all these obstacles come your way. And that's actually not a bad time that you think it's all going to be discouraging to quit, but actually of refining you and to step into really the position that you were created to be for to begin with. And that takes grace. It takes being willing to step over that threshold. And then lastly, the big one is to start stepping into your calling. Be an ambassador. Start to move forward. Become all you can be. But it first takes the first 3 steps to be able to arrive at the 4th. But the best part of it is that when you start and you see where you're going with the mind mapping, you just can't stop. And each step of the way you're excited, you grow, you learn, and you're able to help other people on its way.
Oh, fabulous. That sounds like a fabulous program. I'm so glad you're doing that. I know you will encourage many with it. So you've given our listeners many gold nuggets. Is there one particular gold nugget that you want to leave with our listeners?
I think the biggest gold nugget is believe in yourself. And people say, well, we don't know how with all the baggage. And I think the biggest thing is if you could sit still 15 minutes a day with no talking, completely quiet, remove noises from you. You might have to go sit in your own car, whatever it's going to take. Start with 15 minutes every day. And when you start being quiet and move the noises away, all of a sudden you start seeing what already is in your heart. Once you clean up what is in your heart, that's where you can jump into living abundantly. You realize there is fear, you realize there is guilt, you realize there is pain. And then once you deal with each issue in the way and give it over and let it go, that's when you start living in a brand new way.
Oh, thank you. That is a great nugget. So I know you have a special gift for our listeners today. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we're very excited to launch our brand new membership packages. And as a gift, I would like to give the second package, which is called Grow in Your Membership. It's really called Dare Grow or Grow Dare. And what you do with this, you basically will get several free sessions of group conferencing calls, each with lots of teachings, lots of hope, lots of encouragement. You will get that absolutely free for an entire year. It is the value of $228 for 1 year, but we will encourage you, we will teach you, we will equip you, we'll give you resources for free. And probably the big nugget for you right now could be that we give you a free download booklet in 10 steps in how to forgive. I think you will really be helped by that. And you also will get a cheaper discount on one of the conferences.
Wow, Barb, that sounds like a fabulous gift. Listen, thank you for joining us today, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and joining us today and sharing from the heart, sharing so authentically. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having us, Linda. Keep up the incredible work and help you do with others.
Oh, thank you. And we want to thank our listeners as well. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And we look forward to connecting with you real soon.